Hi guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I'm super excited to be here because today's Wednesday and I get to teach you guys. I love teaching and sharing with you all of the information that God has brought to me to bring out to you. Thank you for being here on this journey on the Soul on Fire show. Thank you for being here in the live. Thank you for being on the replay. Today we are going to talk about the spiritual journey of manifestation and what that looks like, and going through each journey and understanding how it is connected to spirituality and how connected you are to God in you, through you, and allowing the manifestation to come in. Super exciting show. Stay till the end because we're going to do some magical miracle heart openings at the end, allow you to show and understand yourself of where you are in the manifestation process. I'm Noelle Agape. I'm a health and wellness counselor, a transformational coach. I don't even like to use that word anymore. I'm a quantum energy trainer. I'm an NLP trainer, a licensed counselor, and I am a shaman. And I have been doing this for about 25 years now, and understanding and knowing and manipulating emotions and connecting it to spirituality. We merge science and spirituality on this channel. And thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this journey. Through my insane journey of my spiritual awakening, there's been so much enlightenment. I went from being a licensed counselor into being a health and wellness counselor, into being an NLP trainer, to a quantum energy trainer, then going on to being a shaman. The spiritual journey was the most important thing that's ever happened in my life. It's changed my business, it's changed my career, but it's allowed me to understand into the quantum fields and tap into the quantum fields and manifest from a space of the fourth dimension, as opposed to the fourth and fifth dimension, as opposed to working with the 3D. So let's talk about the dimensions first, and understanding manifestation and how it works in the process of working and what it works with. Now, I say this all the time. I'm going to jump right into what it is about, what the manifestation process is about. Manifestation process is actually, it's God experiencing something through you. And so if something is on your heart, that means that desire is here to come to fruition. It already exists in an infinite field of possibilities. It's just allowing you, as in this human experience, to literally come through you and move out into the human world. Now, most people operate from the three-dimensional space of their three-dimensional reality and what that looks like and how to manifest. And so today we're going to talk about the difference between manifestation and manipulation, and understanding that manifestation comes to you and it comes through you. And then you experience it, you connect to the energy of it, and then you move it out into the world. Manipulation is working in the 3D, in a singular reality, expecting that to change. And it's a lot harder journey to do that. So the spiritual journey of manifestation is spiritual. It's super, super spiritual. And that's the greatest gift to understand, is that when you have a desire on your heart, it's placed on your heart, especially if it's a burning desire, that's something you want. You're either in ego or you're in consciousness with that desire. And that's it. You're either in alignment with it or you're not in alignment with it. Now, in the quantum fields, there's an infinite amount of possibilities of that exact version of that desire. Meaning that there are infinite amount of versions of you that are experiencing now. The past, present, and future all exists in this moment in time. So if the past, present, and future all exists in this moment in time and everything is created, then your manifestation already exists. And so operating from the fourth dimensional thinking, which is what I do, going along the journey, deepening and understanding through grad school of, becoming a counselor, and then an NLP trainer, and understanding the neural pathways in the brains. The brain is the mind is the communication of thought, and that communicates. It's a computer. Literally, you can program it, and all of your programs have been from the time you're, 0 to 10. Now, your emotions are stored within your body, and so from 10 to 18, your emotional body is really what you built your defense mechanisms and your stories and your loops that loop in within your mental body, right? So the mind is your electro, which is your thoughts, and that is the communication to the brain, to the body, and the body is the communication of the emotions, which is the magnetic, and that pulls in. Now, understanding, and I say this every single week, but understanding that on this channel, we break through your upper limits to get to like your zone of genius. And your zone of genius lies within you, and it exists already. It exists already. It is not something that you are working towards. It is something that you are aligning with. I want to say that again. It's not something you're working towards. It's something you're aligning with. It is energy. You're working with energy. And when you understand that your reality is literally 0.1% of who you are, and you are 99.99% of spiritual, a spiritual being, your energy. And whether you believe in the spirituality of it or just the science of it, I merge science and spirituality on this show from all of my past trainings. And so understanding that your manifestation is God in you trying to come through to experience that with you in connection to God, and it already exists, right? God, source, the universe, a higher power. It already exists within you. And God's never going to come down to your ego. So he's asking you to literally become a different version of you. Now, your ego is from 10 to 18 is your wounded teenager, and it's allowing you to actually stay safe in your old identity because it's everything you've learned, everything you know. And when the thoughts become patterns, patterns become beliefs, beliefs become your reality. The momentum in your mind and your energy fields is what develops your reality. You're manifesting all day, every day. And so if you're manifesting all day, every day, why not choose a conscious way to manifest as opposed to an unconscious way of manifesting, which is from your ego? So what does the difference look like, right? So the difference of manifesting from your ego versus manifesting from your consciousness is that it's very, very clear. Your ego is manipulation. Your ego is, I'm going to make this happen, where it's you're working from matter to matter. And really what's going on in the consciousness realm is it's coming from consciousness in a wave form, moving back into particle, which is in you. You're the particle, right? And then you have to move it back into waveform, connect to it, become that version of you, and then move it back into particle. So it's this process of understanding what manifestation is, and knowing and feeling that your desires are placed on your heart because they already exist in the quantum fields. And if you believe and know and understand that it's already done, you're not working from survival. You're not working from lack or fear or abandonment or rejection or any of your wounds from your childhood. That's your ego, right? You're working from consciousness, knowing that it's already done. And trust is such a huge part of this journey. So the journey of manifestation starts at the initial thought, your first thought of something. Ooh, I would like to have this, whether it's love, whether it's money, whether experience this. Your thought is what triggers the manifestation, right? So that's the electro, and that triggers the manifestation. From that space, what happens is it's already done in the quantum fields because that thought was put into you, because that way you can experience it, God in you, through you, to experience this beautiful higher realm that God's asking you to go to. From that space, you actually have a time lapse. Well, there doesn't have to be a time lapse, but if you believe that there's a time lapse, that things take a while to manifest, and people don't understand, they when they don't have patience, and when they don't trust, and when they're working from lack or survival, that's when the time lapse becomes longer and longer and longer. Right. And so really, truly, your thoughts become patterns, patterns become beliefs, beliefs become your reality. So your external reality is nothing other than you outpushed. Now, meaning, I teach this all the time, guys, but your external reality is really a reflection of what is going on in your internal world. And so, have you ever had a manifestation where it just felt so good and was so easy, and it was because you were in alignment with it, and you became in alignment with it? In the second segment, we're going to talk about identity and how to transfer your identity and move through a different identity. But this segment, I'm just giving the core of what it takes to be in spiritual manifestation and being a conscious creator. It's a very, very different vibration because you're not trudging through life. You're allowing things to happen. You're receiving the thought, and then you're becoming, and you're saying, oh, okay, I see the fear, I see the anger, I feel that, I understand that, and that's a version of me that exists right there. But there's also a version of me that doesn't have that fear or anger, and I'm going to choose that. So manifestation is all day, every day, a conscious choice. You have the desire, you have the time lapse. The time lapse is dependent upon how much resistance you have to that actual desire. And from that space is the transition. The transition period really is the hardest period of the manifestation piece. And I don't even like to say it's hard, because sometimes it just comes super easily and naturally. But the transition period is moving from the space of your ego thinking that you can't have it to actually becoming it in consciousness and having it in your 3D reality. Again, so when you're fourth, fifth dimensional thinking, you're out into the quantum fields in meditation, in theta or alpha theta, or beta waves, sometimes in gamma too. You're not. Did I say that correctly? No. You're in theta waves, or you're in higher frequencies, right? And so your brain calms down and goes into consciousness. Beta is this consciousness. Beta is this one space of human consciousness of, okay, I'm in my awake state, right? You move up the brainwave scale into alpha and theta, and then into gamma, and you go into this transcendence of who you are, and in a sense leave your body and leave the physicalness, and you move into wave form. And when you move into wave form, there's no resistance in that space, right? There's no resistance in your imagination, and your imagination is God in you, through you. And I want you to hear that your imagination is God in you, through you, and you move into it and you feel into the energy of it. Now, if you have a conversation with your subconscious mind or your guides or your angels, whatever it may be, you can understand where your resistance is. You can understand where you're in ego and where you're in consciousness in the transition period. If you don't understand how to get through the transition period, that's where the craziness happens, and the chaos and the shit shows and the sicknesses and all of the things in the 3D that God's trying to show you. Hey, you're not in alignment with your desire, right? So anything that comes up in your external world is really 100% a reflection. Everything that shows up is 100% reflection of what's going on in your internal world. 100% of what's going on in your nervous system, what's going on with your neural net pathways and your belief systems, and where you are. And it is literally looping over and over and over again. And so you can go into the quantum fields, and you can actually revise the stories of the pain, the hurt, the sadness, and where you felt betrayed, where you felt like you're in victim. And so when you're manifesting from ego, it's always the lower frequencies. It's always, fear, anger, hurt, sadness, guilt, shame. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not safe, secure, and protected. I'm not lovable. I'm a victim. I'm in betrayal, right? Or from consciousness, it's, oh, this already exists, and I actually just have to become this, and I have to know it, I have to feel it, I have to see it, I have to believe it, and become that energy and become one with that energy. And in the transition period, it happens so much faster when you just go in and you see, and you're the observer, and you're feeling and knowing your way through the manifestation, but you're already knowing that it exists, and you're living in your end. And what does that mean, that you're living in your end? It means that you're obviously not at the end of your life. You're just at the end of that manifestation, right? We are creation. And when, the process of creation is this, it's the desire, the time lapse, the transition, the manifestation, right? You're manifesting something all day, every day, whether you realize it or not. You're manifesting either from ego, or you're manifesting from conscious, all day, every day. You're either manifesting from lack and survival. 0 to 10 is when all of that is developed as you in your neural net pathways, as something that is, your childhood and your belief systems. The old way of thinking just doesn't exist anymore. And I'm so far along on this journey. I had this conversation with someone I love dearly this morning about understanding that, moving into a different identity allows you to realize that there's going to be people on this journey, and there's going to be people that don't believe it. And so in the transition period, you have to accept that there are not people that want you to be in that manifestation. There are not people that want you to change that identity, but you don't care. Like, I started this journey 25 years ago in grad school, and 14 years of schooling, and going through all of the certificates that I've ever had. I have 7 certificates now on top of that. Doesn't mean anything if I'm not living in consciousness, right? And so along this journey, I had to let go of a lot of identities. I had to let go of the fact that I was a licensed counselor. I had to let go of the fact that I went into health and wellness. I had to let go of the fact that I was in NLP and a quantum, and then became a shaman. And I had to let go of every identity of ego death along the way. And so, what God is encouraging you through each manifestation is to understand that it is a part of you that is dying, so a new part of you can experience something new. I'm going to say that again. Through the manifestation process, it's a process of expansion, right? So we're going from contracted energy into expanded energy. It's beautiful because your soul is here to experience and expand. It's the only reason why you're here, and it's guiding you through you. But if you allow yourself to be in consciousness, and you're a conscious creator, and you're creating consciously, then you're not creating from lack. You're not creating from scarcity. And you can see that there's a version of you that has the lack and the scarcity, and everything that was developed in or victim, whatever it may be. But you don't have to choose that. And this is the greatest part of the manifestation process. It's all a choice, all day, every day. What frequency am I going to be at? You have to be that exact frequency. You have to become that exact frequency in the transition period for it to manifest in the way that you want it to manifest. Now, right before the manifestation is usually happened, what just happens with your subconscious mind is it's called a purge. And so when are you right about the cusp of your manifestations, and how do you know your manifestations is on the way, is most of the times you'll start to see, in the beginning, God gives you a little hit like, okay, here we go. And to give you motivation to do it. And it'll start to feel really, really good. And then in the transition period, God asks you in the spiritual sense to truly go within and not live from the lower frequencies, and not live from your ego, but live from consciousness, and see it and feel it and know it from consciousness. And you will be tested, and your subconscious will fight it, because when you move into a different identity, your subconscious believes that you're not safe, because you're moving into something that is the unknown. So your ego is fighting this transition over and over and over again, right? When you understand that right before that, the trial of faith happens, where God says, okay, I'm going to really understand and make sure that you're ready for this manifestation, especially if it's something big in your upper limits and breaking through massive things in your life. God's always going to, you will experience loss of something right before your manifestation. You will experience loss. You'll maybe experience sickness. Maybe you'll experience, but it is the death of the ego and the death of the old identity, which I want you to understand. That you have to truly be comfortable with dying to the old version of you to break through your upper limits and move into a higher level of spiritual maturity. Always. I die to the version of myself all the time. I'm not afraid of death in any way. I think we're infinite beings having a beautiful experience on this earth, but we are infinite energy. And when we understand that we're infinite energy, and that our manifestation already exists, the lack is always going to be there. The ego is always going to be there, the opposite of whatever it is. And God in that moment is asking you to choose. And that's spiritual maturity. That's manifesting from consciousness. That's not manifesting from your ego. Is it hard? It's not an easy journey through the transition. No, it's definitely not, especially when it's breaking through your upper limits. It is understanding that it's conscious choices all day, every day, to be in spiritual maturity all day, every day. I know that there's a version of me. I'm living in my end. I see this that comes up. Circumstances don't matter, because the 3D is literally the three-dimensional reality that you're experiencing today is what you manifested yesterday or in the past. So if everything exists in the past, present, and future, you're in the now moment, creating the next moment, right? So that's what you have to understand is I'm not living in my past. I'm not trying to escape into my future. What I'm doing is I'm manifesting right now. I'm in alignment right now with it already being done. It's done, it's done, it's done, it's done, it's done. Final piece with that is detachment, because if you have any needing energies, that is not consciousness. That is your ego saying that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you have to be in struggle, whatever belief system you have around that, right? So You start with the desire, you have the time lapse, you move into the transition. Once you move into the transition and you're in alignment with it, it will show up. Now you can be in alignment within an ego, or you can be in alignment with it within consciousness. Whatever shows up in your exact reality is a blueprint of what you're emanating out into the world. So if it's showing up in a lower frequency, that's where you have to pivot and say, okay, I know and I see that this reality is showing up right now, but this is not the version of me that I choose. I see that there's a version of me that is living that and experiencing that. And I choose not to live in the victim. I choose not to live in betrayal. I choose not to live in that space. I choose to live in consciousness. I'm going to release it to God, source, the universe. What actions do I need to take from a higher state? How do I raise my frequency? How do I get into a higher alignment with my desire? So I'm experiencing this from consciousness. And once you experience it from consciousness and you're in alignment with it and you're one with the energy, it comes into your reality in the form that you want it to. Right. So manifestation is such a big keyword right now, but working into the quantum fields in the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension is working with consciousness and bringing that through you out to the world, as opposed to working with your ego and trying to force and manipulate the situation. So again, conscious creation is spiritual maturity, and it's choices that you have to make every day, all day. And unconscious creation is trying to manipulate as opposed to manifest. Two huge different things. So in the spiritual world, how do you manifest in the spiritual world is you have to become closer to God, source, universe. And every day and every moment of every day, you have to become the version of you that already exists. That's the higher frequency. It's that simple. We will be right back, guys. We're going to pause for a minute, and then I'm going to actually talk to you about the difference between understanding the energies and knowing and how to manipulate the energies through the frequencies, working specifically with the divine masculine energies and specifically with the divine feminine energies, and understanding that we all have them within us, and balancing and aligning your energies. Knowing that each chakra system has a power center within you, that it is a hub and it holds your emotions, and how to actually manipulate your emotions and how to actually manipulate your energy into, I don't even like the word manipulation, I just use that, how to manifest your emotions and your, come from a higher place, but how to transcend your emotions from a lower frequency to a higher frequency to manifest more of your life's desires, as opposed to manifesting from your ego, which will always bring the chaos and the shit show. So we will be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Thank you for being here. We'll be right back. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. I am Noelle Agape, and I am a quantum energy trainer and NLP trainer, a shaman, and a licensed counselor. And today on our show, we're talking about spiritually choosing consciousness to manifest, and manifesting through spirituality and consciousness as opposed to manipulation and ego. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here on the live. Thanks for on the replay. In the first segment, what we talked about was understanding the manifestation process and understanding how it comes from ego or consciousness. In this statement, I want to actually go deeper into the energies of it, right? And so when you understand that you have to become a different identity, and understanding that your ego doesn't want to let go of that identity, but you have to be something completely different than you are. So manifesting from ego is thinking that you could do it from the three-dimensional space. Manifesting from consciousness is manifesting from the fourth dimensional space, working with energies. Now, I work with emotions and energy all day, every day for the last 25 years. So I go in and I actually have conversations with people energetically. I have conversations with God all day, every day. I see what's in the greatest and highest good. I go into detachment. I see and feel the energies of how they feel before I actually commit to something, before I go into something. All of my decisions are made in the energetic fields before they're made in the the internal. My decisions are made internally, not externally. And when you live your life like that, it's very, 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 very different, because when you're living your life from an internal conversation as opposed to an external conversation, that is when you transcend your realities, right? Because I truly firmly believe that everything is already created, and everything that I want is already in existence in this now moment. I don't have to wait. Waiting is a lack energy, right? So what do I have to do? I have to first go inward, and I have to feel how that desire feels to me. I have to see it. I have to know it. I have to believe it. I have to be intuitive. And that's my divine feminine energy. I have to be playful. I have to be intuitive. I have to feel it in that sense. But the first part of it is the thought. And once you have the thought, that's the divine masculine energies of the doing, right? The thought is an action taking thing, right? So you have the thought, which is the divine masculine. And from that thought, I create the divine feminine energies, and I go in and I cultivate it from my divine feminine energies. And I become it, and I feel it, and I know it with gratitude and love and higher frequencies. And I remove myself from the situation of what's showing up in the external world. And I say, okay, what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? Because this is a mirror of me, right? And that's, again, that's action. So I remove myself from it. And from that space, now I move in again to the divine feminine energies of feeling it and becoming it and knowing it and experiencing it in the fourth and the fifth dimensional before I actually move it back into particle form, right? So I move it from the thought into the wave, and then back from the wave back into my body. That's what the process has to be. The process of creation has to go through an understanding that it starts as a thought. And if you have that thought, it means it's in existence. Here's the greatest thing that I can ever teach you is if you have a thought or a desire of something, it means that it's already created within you. You just have to become it. You have to get in alignment with it. You have to be it. You have to feel it. You have to know it. You have to see it from a state of consciousness, because again, God's not going to come down to your ego. So spiritually manifesting from a spiritual mature place is very different than manifesting from lack or from ego or from victim or from betrayal or from anything. It is attracting, it is magnetizing, it is pulling in that energy. And it is knowing and understanding that your ego, your inner child and your inner teenager, right? Your inner child is the wound, your inner teenager defends that wound with your defense mechanism. And so what we do often is we put on a mask and we put on a shield of, okay, I'm going to go into this 3D world and this is who I'm going to become. And I'm going to have all these defense mechanisms, right? So I'm going to put on the mask that I'll just use money because that's a big thing for people. I'll put on the mask that I, it doesn't bother me or it doesn't affect me when I'm in lack or anything like that. And I'm going to shield where I'm going to have a trigger come up, but as soon as that trigger comes up, I'm going to go into defense mechanism mode. So let's instead of using money, I'll use rejection, right? So you have the wound of rejection and abandonment, and so what you do is you put on a mask that everything's okay, and the shield is F you, I'm going to do this anyway, I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to show them, or I'm going to be in victim, or I'm going to spiral, or whatever it may be. If you take off that mask and you take off that shield, what's behind that? Go into that feeling and go into knowing and feeling and understanding that God's trying to show you something in that moment. He's trying to teach you something in that moment. And those that know me know that I am a public figure and I love to spread love out to the world. I love to teach the quantum fields and manifestation, but my fields are sacred. Like if you are allowed into my field, into my world, it is sacred. And because I am so intentional with my day, I am so intentional with my energy, I am so intentional with me and God. I get in alignment with things before I make decisions. Sometimes I get triggered and because I'm human, and I when I spiral, I have to stop and pause. And just recently, I have realized, and again, 25 years I'm doing this, guys, and in all of this training that I've had and all of these certifications, I'm still human and it still happens. Do I take a beat? I could turn around probably faster than most because I know how to do it. And even Joe Dispenza says, we all fall from grace. And it's sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 24 hours. But it is my intention the second that I fall from grace to get back into consciousness, to get back into a higher frequency instantly. Instantly, I pause and say, okay, what is this teaching me? How am I disconnected from my highest self? How am I disconnected from God right now? How am I not living in the highest version of myself? Oh, I see the fear, I see the lack, I see the judgment. Oh, okay. I see the comparison. That's what's going on. Okay. Do I choose that anymore? No, I choose to be a different version. What do I have to do, divine masculine, to become that divine feminine, become that version of me? How do I have to act? How do I have to be? What do I have to change? What do I have to let go of? The identity of being in one vibration is very, very different than being in another vibration. And the identity I have to be in consciousness is very different than the identity I am in my ego. That is tremendous. And I need you to hear that. The identity that I am in my ego is very, very different than the identity I am in consciousness. And if I'm choosing to be a conscious creator, because why not? We're creating all day, every day. Of course, I'm going to choose to be a conscious creator. It's not being attached, right? So I want to talk about the divine feminine and divine masculine energy so you understand them, because it's huge in the manifestation process. So the divine masculine is grounded, it's secure, it's protection, it is motivation, it is action, it is driven, it is stable, right? It's security, it's structure. The divine feminine is playful, it is intentional, it is intuitive, it is creative, it is stands in her power and has boundaries also, right? But the wounded masculine looks very, very different. The wounded masculine in the manifestation process looks like victim, it looks like betrayal, it looks like fear, anger. Anger is a lot in the manifestation process. In the wounded masculine, hurt, sadness, guilt, and shame, huge in the wounded masculine. But it also in the 3D shows up as like abuse or anger, or sometimes it shows up as like passive aggressive, which is like ghosting and blocking and all of these things that are just so they drive me crazy because they're so low frequency, right? It's like when you go someone, when you block someone, when you gaslight someone, when you're needy, right? I'm going to go into the wounded feminine now, right? So the wounded feminine is very, very needy, it's desperate, it's controlling, it is not allowing the space to be, it is manipulation, it is not manifestation. So I want to ask you right now where you are in your life, guys. I want you to look in at a 360 view. I want you to pull yourself out of your life for a second. And I want you to write down, like, where am I in my ego in this manifestation? I want you to choose one thing, because we're manifesting all day, every day. And when you're first starting, it's easier just to have single point intention on one thing. And so what I want you to do is I want you to choose one thing that you're trying to manifest. And I want you to literally allow yourself to say, where am I in victim? Where am I in ego? Where am I in betrayal? Where am I in lack? Where am I in scarcity? Where am I in separation? Right. And again, we have to do this all day, every day. And being a conscious creator, guys, you have to stop and say, wow, I was in ego. I was in victim. I was needy. I was controlling. I was blocking. I was gaslighting. I was doing all of these crazy, crazy, crazy low vibration things. How can I be better? Right? The second you say, I choose to be better, is the second consciousness comes in and says, okay, let's do this differently. Right? How do I not act from lack? How do I not act from desperation or neediness? How do I not act from the victim? Right? How am I putting the villain onto someone else? How am I not looking at my external world? And how am I so hyper focused on my external world that I'm not connected to my internal world, right? How am I not detached? How am I attached to this specific outcome? How am I not allowing God to handle this and through this, right? When you start to ask your secondary questions like that, the greatest gift that you can do is flip that switch and say, why am I so infinitely wealthy, or whatever it may be? Why am I why am I so happily and blissfully married? Because then your subconscious starts to find the answer to that. Why am I so grateful for my home? Why am I so grateful for my kids? Why am I so grateful for my clients? Why am I so grateful to travel the world? I am so grateful. Why am I so grateful? Allow your subconscious to answer the questions from the frequency of why am I so grateful? Why am I in so, instead of being in lack, being gratitude for what you have instantly shifts everything for you. So you have to first have an awareness of where your consciousness is, right? Is it an ego or consciousness? Secondly, you have to understand that it's already done. It's already done. It's already done. It's already done. You get to go on this journey. The from the desire to the manifestation is a journey, and you get to actually choose your journey and how that's going to show up. You can choose consciousness, you can choose higher frequencies, or you can choose the shit show. You can choose to go in victim, and you can choose to go in through the pain and the heartache. Now, will pain and heartache and ego always be there? Yeah. Can you feel it and allow it to move through you and not attach a meaning to it? That's a huge, 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 huge. Nothing is good or bad. Nothing is good or bad. There's just the stories that you have attached to this, right? So if you're attached to a story of an outcome, that's what's going to produce in your mind. I was just talking to one of my clients this morning about this and how to change the story. How do you change the story? You go in and you have to revise, you have to find out what the program is that's running and change that program and flip that. And know that when you flip it, you may fall from grace and dip back into ego. That's expected. But how you handle yourself in that situation is, where you can be in grace and beauty and strength and motivation and with yourself, right? What is your inner child trying to tell you? Where is your inner child in lack? Where's your inner teenager defending your inner child and your wound? How can you move graciously more into a conscious space in this exact thing? Because it's teaching you, it's showing you, it's moving you into that space, right? So what I want you to do is I just want you to look at your life as a 360 view and your manifestation. And what are you manifesting in your life, guys? What are you choosing to show up? Are you choosing joy? Are you choosing abundance? Are you choosing love? And I made a post the other day, and I'm going to talk about this because this is really, 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 really important. There are things that I have known my entire life, and I don't know why I have known them. I've just known them. And it has been my guiding light and my beacon on every single manifestation that I have ever had in my entire life. First and foremost was that I am a vessel and that God comes through me, right? I know it, I feel it, I believe it, that God comes through me. My body is a vessel, and it's my responsibility to keep my body, my nervous system, and my mind in alignment with God. It is my responsibility. I've known this my entire life. I can't explain it, but I have. The second is that I love differently than most, right? Because I feel and know and see compassion and forgiveness as the greatest and highest gift that we can have. And I don't look at betrayal, I look at forgiveness, right? And the other thing that I have known also is that you can have many great loves in this life. You can have many great lives. But the people that are meant for your lifetimes, you will know, your soul tribe will come to you, and what is meant for you will find you. If God gives you a gift though, and you ask for it and you're not ready for it, you're throwing it back in God's face. That is huge. If God gives you a gift and you're not ready for it, and you throw it and you're in your ego, you can't even see it. You can't be on the same frequency as it. You can't become it because you're not on the frequency. You're in the frequency of ego. So you're literally throwing it back in God's face. You're desiring, you're saying, why isn't it here? Why isn't it here? Why isn't it here? It's not here because you're not in alignment with a higher frequency of it. So it's your job to do the inner work to become it. And the final piece is that you're more powerful than you know. Everything that you are looking for in the external is an internal job. The fourth and fifth dimension are your jobs. Your neural net pathways, your belief systems, your thoughts, your electromagnetic fields, everything is your responsibility. How are you going to handle this? Whatever is showing up in your reality, I want you to write it down. And I want you to ask, are you in fear? Are you in anger? Are you in hurt? Are you in sadness? Are you in guilt and shame? I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not safe, secure, and protected. I'm not lovable. I'm not whole and complete. Where are you in that zone? How can you flip that switch and know that abundance is your birthright? Love is your birthright. It is God in you, through you. How can you not be an ego? How can you take that contracted energy within you and your manifestation and move it into expansion? How can you move through the emotional scale to raise your frequency, moving from fear to anger, to hope, to acceptance, to forgiveness, to love, to bliss and enlightenment? How can you move up that scale, knowing and understanding that it's all within you? You have to do the internal work. I just committed this week to something that was very big for me, because it was the first time that I made a decision for me, not for my business. And I committed to being with a coach. Why? Because I see the patterns that I have done and I can't do it on my own. I know that there's moments that I'm the student in one breath, and everything I've mastered, I can teach in my life. Do you have to be perfect? Of course not. Do you have to be conscious every moment of every day? It's all God's asking of you, to be conscious of where your vibration is along this journey. The manifestation is an experience between you and God. I'm going to say that again. Your manifestations all day, every day, an experience between you and God. What are you choosing to manifest with God, your highest self? Are you choosing to manifest from ego? Because to God and your nervous system and your body and your soul, it doesn't know the difference between good and bad, right? You ask God for strength, it's going to show you opportunities where you have to be strong, right? It's how you frame it. Why am I so infinitely grateful that I'm happily and blissfully married? Why am I so infinitely grateful that, I get to travel the world and be with the love of my life, my partner, my lover, my best friend? Why am I so infinitely grateful that me and my kids are healthy, happy, and living mind, body, soul, and spirit and connected all day, every day? Why am I so infinitely grateful that I have ageless and timeless beauty? Why am I so infinitely grateful for my home and my clients? Why am I so infinitely grateful that I can impact the lives of millions by doing everything I love all day, every day? I promise you this. When you start to ask, why am I so grateful for what I have and what I don't have? Gratitude changes your frequency immediately. Look at the problem in your life, problem, air quotes. Look at the frequency of what that is. How do you transmute it? How can you go up to a different frequency in that exact problem? If somebody betrayed you, how can you find gratitude in that betrayal? I am so grateful that person showed me that I wasn't in alignment with a beautiful, harmonious relationship, whatever it may be, right? They're showing you what's going on inside of you. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back, guys. Then I'm going to do key takeaways of how to actually do this system. It's beautiful and it'll change your life. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. Hi guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for being here on the live. Thanks for being on the replay. Today we're talking about spiritual manifestation and what that looks like, moving ego to consciousness and understanding that it's God in you, working through you, and loving every moment of the journey. Now, I will say this, guys, if you need support in this journey, let me preface before we go into the key takeaways, because I think this is really, really important to understand that I receive help. I'm going to say that again. I receive help. I receive support along my journey. And it's so important to understand that you can't do this alone. And I've tried doing it alone. Believe me, I've tried doing this alone. And it's just an easier journey. Now at noelleagape.com, we have practitioners that quantum certified practitioners that have been trained underneath me and my certifications and my licensing. And we can actually help you break through your upper limits and just tap into your zone of genius. So if you need help and support, we have programs that you can join. We also have programs that are free. And there are thousands of things that you can do to move yourself from ego to consciousness. Go to noelleagape.com. Check out everything that we have there. There is no reason why you have to do this alone, guys. And I want to be very, very clear with you, is that if you make a conscious choice, I have paid insane amount of money into people. I have a business coach, I have a media coach, and now I have a relationship coach, right? Because I know that having a conscious marriage is important to me. And understanding, guys, that support along the way is so important. And if you want to have amazing experiences, come on our retreats with us. We travel around the world and we do deep soul work in that way as well. Yet the coolest thing in the world is that when I understood that I was loved and supported, that changed everything for me. When I understood that I didn't have to do this alone, and I didn't have to manipulate, that I didn't have to go through the drudge and the grind, when I could be in my divine feminine, and when leaning back when I need to lean back, and then getting inspired action in the space of leaning back, in the space of my divine feminine, and doing the inspired action and taking action in my divine masculine energies. When I was in my wound, it wasn't happening like that. When I was in my wound, it was grinding. It was, now, do I still work 18-hour days? Yeah, I own a company, and I'm going, from 7 to 8 figures this year, and it moving through my life, I know that if I'm a billionaire, I'm going to change millions of lives. And so my money already has a destination, right? My money already has a destination. My heart already has a destination. I'm already in my end. So working 18-hour days to me is not like, oh my God, I just worked 18-hour days. Blah, blah. Yes, sometimes I'm tired, but there's a lot of work to be done as a spiritual leader. But it is enlightened. It is guided. It is inspired, right? So inspired action is very, very, very different than manipulating and control. When you're in control and manipulation, you're completely in contracted energy. When you're in aligned action or inspiration or detachment, it's you're receiving. Now, do I sit and meditate all day long and say, okay, I'm going to get millions of dollars in the bank and the love of life, my life's going to be in my bed? I do. And I, from the meditation, take the inspired action, raise my frequency, then ask God, okay, what do we need to do from here? And we take inspired action, right? Do I know and understand that you have to create it in the fourth and the fifth degree, and then you have to actually live it and see it and feel it in the 3D? Yes. Right. And again, go to noelleagape.com if you need help with this process. I have courses. I have like 6 courses on this, and I have, we have practitioners that can help you, and it's so different and so incredible. So take a 360 view of your life, choose one manifestation in your life, take a 360 view of that. I want you to literally just close your eyes and go in your heart and like, what's coming up? Like, what's going on? Are you in fear? Are you scared? Are you in lack? Are you in scarcity? Do you see it? Right? Now from this space, in your heart space, your heart and mind are not in coherence. That's why it's showing up like craziness. What is your belief system around this? What's the emotion around this? Right? What's the belief system around this? Moving into a higher state of consciousness, how would a higher state of consciousness see this manifestation if it's already done? And I'm a different version, and I'm separating from the old identity that is no longer serving me. And my ego is fighting that because my ego wants to keep me safe. My ego is going to show me all the lack and everything. It's easier for your ego to stay in lack and survival than it is to actually move into consciousness, because it's unknown for your ego. So your ego's entire job is to keep you safe. So have these conversations with your heart and your mind, and literally go into your heart, go into your mind, and see what's going on. Then have a conversation with God and your guides, and say, how can I be better? What do I need to detach from? What do I need to let go of? Why am I not letting go of this? Why am I so, where are you in obsession? Where are you, where are you in the frequency that is not allowing you to manifest your desire in the space that you wanted to desire? You can't get there from there. Esther Hicks says that all the time, right? And so if you're trying to manifest spiritually, you have to be conscious and spiritual. You can't just say, I'm going to manifest from my ego and expect this, windfall of money to fall into your lap. You have to actually be like, okay, where's the money going to go? How, I know that I'm building schools in Africa, I'm building homes, and my kids are going to have a legacy. Like it's everything that I have and everything I've built over the last 15 years. I've owned my own company, and 10 years before that of being a therapist. Everything has been for my kids. My why is for leaving a legacy for my kids and to impact the lives of millions, right? Give it direction. Money and thought, and it needs direction. It doesn't, you need to have an end. You need to have a space where it goes from, but you start at your end and then you go backwards. You don't start at your beginning and then go up to your end. That is third dimensional thinking that is so outdated. When you're in Christ consciousness, you start at the end, and you know it, you feel it, and you see it, it's already done. You become that energy. And then from there in the 3D, you have to take an action, and you have to let go, and you have to know that people, places, and things, God's going to show you through synchronicities and signs and people and talk to you, and it's going to come closer and closer. And the more that you persist in your end, and the more that you stay in the frequency of it, it will show up as spiritually mature, conscious creation, not egoic creation. Have you ever manifested something through manipulation or ego, and you got it and you were like, wow, that actually didn't feel as good as I thought it was going to get, right? That's because it wasn't spiritual manifestation. It was egoic manifestation. And when you understand that you have a choice between the two with everything in your life, all day, every day, your life becomes different. Is it bubbles and unicorns? No. I mean, and here's the thing. I may seem at times that I'm bubbles and unicorn because I live from love, but there is so much depth to me, because all day, every day, I am choosing and being consciousness. I'm going to say that again. All day, every day, I'm blessed to, I'm grateful for that I choose to be consciousness. The depth of you is not your ego, right? The depth of you is not your vanity. The depth of you is not your car, your watch, your business, how many likes you have on Instagram. The depth of you is God in you, through you, working together to experience and expand this energy beyond belief. It is the most beautiful life in the world when you live from consciousness, consciously live from consciousness. Big. When you consciously choose consciousness over your ego all day, every day. Is it work? Yeah. Is it inspired work? Hell yeah. Is it different than, if people looked at me now as opposed to 15 years ago, as people looked at me now as opposed to 5 years ago, they'd say, Noelle, you're different. And I'd say, hell yeah, I am. I'm different every single day of my life. I'm letting go of all the old identities every day of my life. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm choosing consciousness every day, all day, every day. I am choosing God in me, through me. God, what can we create today? I'm so excited to create with you today, God. How can we use the masculine and feminine energies in consciousness, not ego, in the divine space to create you in me, through me? Let's experience this life together, because life becomes magical when you have awareness. And the second that you are aware of what vibration you are at, you have a choice. And that is what free will is. Do you choose your ego and continuing the pattern because it feels safe? Or do you choose a different identity because it is a higher version of you? Right? When you know and you understand, be the observer of your life. Go into this world differently. Approach your life differently. Approach your manifestations differently. Approach your desires as something that God has put on your heart. Think about that. I want you to ask yourself, biggest question that I've ever started to ask myself. Why do I want this? Do I want it from ego? To feel loved, supported, validated? Or do I want it from consciousness? How is this manifestation that I'm creating going to benefit something, me, and something else in this world by me being at a higher frequency? How is this manifestation going to support me in my highest version of myself? How is this when you do this and you tap into your heart's energy and you ask, okay, God, why is this desire here? You don't need to know you need to know the what and the why. The how and the when is when you have to detach. You have to trust that God, source, the universe is working in your favor because it's already done. And it's showing you the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is the final piece to understand that God, source, the universe is going to put you on the path of least resistance. Sometimes the path of least resistance is to have you move through your ego to learn the lesson and see the trial of faith and transcend that energy. When you know this and you understand the secrets of the universe, that God is for you, that the universe is for you, that life is experienced through you, it's a very different outlook on life. Will you be in your ego sometimes? Yeah. Is there moments and times where you are going to hit rock bottom? Yeah. But after that rock bottom is your consciousness, is your upper limit. If you move through it and you transcend it and you become a higher version of it that already exists, that's all God is asking of you. You are so powerful. You are so beautiful. You are such a gift to this world, and your gifts are not my gifts, and my gifts are not your gifts. You are unique. You are beautiful. You are loving. You are kind. You are the depth of consciousness. You are the universe. When you know this and you feel it and you see it and everything exists, there's no lack. There is no lack in the universe. There's no separation. There's no depression. It is egoic forms, pattern forms of energy. That's it. That's the ticket. You have a desire, you have a time lapse, you have the transition. The transition period is a choice between ego and consciousness. And then you become it. You detach, you trust, you know, and you see your power within you. Your life will change. If you need support, go to noelleagape.com. We have so many programs. If you want to go even further and you want to work with our practitioners, contact us. We can start immediately. If you want to come to Costa Rica with us in April and do deep soul work and do crazy adventures, we're doing that. I promise you guys this. In 25 years that I have been doing this, there has never been, not once, never, not once, been one client that their life hasn't transmuted and changed completely through this work. This work changes lives. Conscious creation, conscious understanding of who you are, God in you, through you. You are more powerful than you can ever possibly imagine. All that you want is inside of you, not external. It is internal. Manifestation, especially spiritually and conscious creation, is an internal job. You get to do the work with God, and it can be fun and beautiful when you detach from your ego. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.